What's up, guys? I'm Andrew with Nautilus Spearfishing, as some of you may know. And we might be a couple years late on this, but I figured it's better now than never. So we like editing software, as you guys probably already know. And I'm going to teach you guys today how to mount Pathos Fireblade foot pockets onto pretty much any carbon fiber fin. We're going to be using our Nautilus Generation 2 siphons on this for an order that we have online. And we've gone through a lot of mishaps with these where the glue doesn't bond too well, and then they ask us, what glue do you use? And honestly, there's a lot of different kinds of glues you can use. There's some primer glues you can use, but we're gonna just be using a pretty simple glue that you can get pretty much anywhere. I've learned that the liquid glues work pretty well. So we use HFT. We get these at Harbor Freight. They're not super expensive. Get the super glue one that's kind of liquidy instead of the gel. The liquidy stuff, I guess, it just bonds better, so, and it's a little easier to work with. So what we usually do, a lot of these fins will come without the rails. If you do have the rails in here, you're going to want to get an X-Acto blade and just kind of cut it off to the point where the tendons would meet. So what I'm going to do is basically introduce the carbon fin into the pocket. You got to make sure that that angle doesn't cut into the stems of the pocket, so you got to be really careful with that. Ask me how we know. We've made that mistake in the past. So also you got to make sure that everything lines up inside before you start pushing it in, because you can start cutting the pocket. So you got to be a little careful, especially here on the front with the angle. Once it goes in, you can basically just slide it all the way in there. You'll notice the blade is nice and tucked into the pocket. Very nice and easy. Once you get it in there, it's pretty simple to get it to get it straightened out. Now you want to clean the carbon. You want to clean a little bit of the rubber too, so we just use a little tiny bit of acetone. You can actually see we've already cleaned off the other one, so I'm going to use a little tiny bit of acetone here. Alright, and I'm going to lift the base here and just kind of clean it off just a tiny bit and get rid of some of those impurities between the carbon fiber and the rubber. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up that tendon pretty much just like that. I'm going to put my my napkin in there and just kind of clean it all the way through, and you'll see how dirty it actually is in there. So if I were to glue it without cleaning it, it wouldn't make a really good bond, and a lot of times the nerves and the tendons, they start popping off as you go through your kicking cycles. So that's not fun, especially if you're coming up from a very deep dive. And here we go. We'll just clean this one off here. Okay, and there you have it. So we have a nice clean tendons. I already did the other one, and that's pretty much all those nasty impurities right there. Try not to use too much acetone, just just a little tiny itty bitty bit. And then what we're gonna do is make sure the blade's lined up. It's pretty simple. Most blades that actually are meant to go into these pockets, if you just push them in all the way, they line up pretty nice and straight. So right here we got a nice centered blade. The next step I would do is you would get the glue. This is actually a new one, so we got to open it. All right, here we go. It's got a little easy use little applicator here, and this glue is it's very liquidy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna basically angle the pocket up. A lot of people, they glue the back section here and all that stuff. You really don't have to. You can see how tight it is already. There's no need to do that. So we just lift up here, and I introduce it right where the mounting point would be, right there, and I let the glue slide back inside. So that's why I have it angled like it is. And then I'm just going to press it and hold it. You can actually see the glue's kind of seeping out there, maybe a little tiny bit. I can clean that up later. I just want to make sure I get a good bond. So you want to just kind of hold this for a couple seconds. You can use clamps for this, but I'm kind of a little short on time, so I'm just going to kind of do this. Usually about a minute. Just holding it down would get it to kind of start bonding on there. Curing takes a little bit longer, definitely. Curing would probably, I'd leave it alone for probably around 6 to 8 hours before I start messing around. Once I have it all nice and cured, you want to see just kind of clean up a little bit of that glue there so it doesn't get stuck too hard. Leaves a little nasty mark, so you want to keep it looking nice and clean. And basically we're gonna just kind of follow that whole process. Once this kind of holds a little bit more, I'm gonna move on to the nerves. And on the nerves, since this stuff dries pretty quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half section and then the top section. I'm not going to do it all at once. So what I'm actually going to do is introduce the glue here in the midsection and let the glue slide all the way back in, just like that, all the way back in. And then we'll kind of go from there. The other thing I'm going to point out in the next video, because we're going to cut this video short, is that a lot of people will actually cut it here. You'll see a lot of videos with Pathos pockets, and they'll just kind of snip the tendon. I don't like doing that, because I feel like the tendon gives the blade a little bit more support towards the front section. So what I'm actually going to do is get an X-Acto blade and remove the rail off of here. So we'll be back. I'm going to wait for this to glue and check out part 2. If you don't see it, it's on right here underneath this video. Just click that link and we'll see you in part 2.